So first of all, Clause 41 does it defines financial abuse when talking about safeguarding, but doesn't define any other types of abuse. And while, of course, the assumption is that that includes physical, sexual, psychological neglect, and etc., we feel it's absolutely crucial that local authorities take action on all forms of abuse, and therefore that it should be on the face of the bill. And the definition we've used is from the No Secrets guidance, so it's something that's already being used. The second area is where the abuse happens. Currently it's not clear where the abuse has to happen in order for the local authority to investigate. And so there's a line adding in any setting. And the reason is that we just want to make absolutely clear that it's not just about in a care home, for example. Of course, abuse can and does happen in a variety of different settings. So it could be in somebody's home, in a hospital setting, for example, or in an assessment and treatment unit such as Winterbourne View. So it's broadening that out.
Yeah, just thinking in hospitals, there's a tendency to view hospitals as sort of safe places. So it's really important to there's an opportunity to make it really explicit that it's all settings, and that obviously safeguarding concerns need to be identified and flagged up and investigated in hospitals and in places everywhere.
The next amendment essentially places a duty on the Secretary of State to set out regulations and guidance, national standards for carrying out safeguarding inquiries, which currently vary across different local authority areas. And we've suggested areas where those regulations should cover. So, for example, what is identified as a safeguarding concern? Currently, it is not always clear what is a safeguarding concern, and thus goes unreported. So there are areas, for example, when restraining people with challenging behaviour, for example, and what's unexplained injuries and things like that. So those kind of grey areas, if you like, can lead to inaction and investigations not being carried out.
So yes, the Winterbourne, the serious case review into Winterbourne said it is shocking that the practice of restraint on a daily basis was not seen as constituting abuse by any professional. So it's really important that safeguarding concerns are properly identified and reported.
The next bit of the guidance would be on process and timescale. So, for example, Winterbourne View, it's very well documented that the whistleblower went to the CQC, went to the Safeguarding Adult Board, but they essentially thought the other was investigating, and they didn't carry out the necessary investigations and take the necessary action. So it's around the process of carrying out those investigations, the timescales, how they should be reported, how information should be passed on, roles and responsibilities of the different agencies to make it absolutely clear who should be doing what and when.
Yes, just thinking, so where concerns are raised, it's often going to be appropriate for adult safeguarding to ask the provider to investigate, but there need to be really sort of clear timeframes to have been agreed so that that's checked and that happens. So
I think with Winterbourne View, for example, there was almost 70 safeguarding alerts, which is incredible when you think about it, that it could get to almost 70 and take a whistleblower and all the rest of it. The next amendment is on adding in independent advocacy for those vulnerable individuals going through that might be being investigated in terms of safeguarding, and of course that's really crucial for people with a learning disability and other vulnerable people may be in a very isolated situation, and so we feel independent advocacy is absolutely vital, and that matches a similar amendment that the Care and Support Alliance have worked with Baroness Browning around independent advocacy when people are going through the care assessment to get to a care and support plan. The next one is really picking up on a key point that Gary raised earlier around bringing in other agencies in terms of this duty to report and pass on information with regards to safeguarding concerns, and the amendment brings in other relevant providers as well, because other relevant partners, and including those providers delivering health and social care, for example, which currently aren't under a duty to pass on information to the local authorities, to the safeguarding adult boards.
Yeah, I mean, in local processes, obviously that would be part of it, that you would report it, concerned about safeguarding. There's not actually a duty to report. So there is sort of variation, and there's under-reporting in some areas and over-reporting. So you'd need in the guidance, good guidance, to say you weren't sort of overloading safeguarding with reporting everything. But to have that duty to report means it's being taken really seriously, and everyone has to take it seriously to identify where abuse is happening and reporting it.
The final amendments are on the schedules that go together with clause 41, and the schedules set out the parameters that's within the safeguarding, within which the safeguarding adult boards are working. We think these are pretty good. The two improvements that we're suggesting. Currently, the safeguarding in the bill, the safeguarding adult boards will put together an annual report of the various different safeguarding incidents and inquiries that have been made. The first amendment here simply adds in that in these reports they should show what actions they've actually taken in response to these investigations. It appears to be, from us, it's an oversight just to list what inquiries have happened. I think the report should, we think, pretty obviously suggest to show what they've actually done in response to those. The second is that safeguarding adult boards should then send a copy of those to the Secretary of State, so that there is a kind of national overview of the different safeguarding inquiries across the country, and an opportunity to report that on a national scale.